So you're telling me this kid can see into the future involving his own death? Yeah, I'll believe it till I see it. The Final Destination franchise is definitely one everyone has heard of before, whether you watched it or not. In case you haven't seen them, each Final Destination movie has a main character that has a premonition involving themselves and those around them. For example, in the first one, Alex Browning gets a vision that the plane him and his classmates are on to Paris is going to explode. After the vision, he then experiences the exact same set of events that eventually lead up to the plane going boom in the sky. Alex does his hardest to get off the plane and tells everyone else that the plane is going to explode, while looking like a crackhead at the exact same time. While being escorted off the plane and fighting with Carter, those escorted off the plane with them are Billy, Terry, Valerie, Todd, and Claire's fine ass behind. Seriously, it's been 23 years since the first movie came out, and I'll never understand how Ali Lara still looks just as fine now. For the record, this woman is 47 now, so she either got great genetics, is a vampire, or got a good skincare program. After the 7 survivors come to terms of what happened, they attend the funeral of those who died on the plane, mainly their classmates. Todd gives a heartfelt speech with him at the end saying, "Death could get us at any moment." As soon as I heard him say that, I knew his fate was sealed right then and there. In movie terms, saying anything like that is the equivalent of saying, "What's the worst that can happen?" Later on, Todd is chilling in his house and goes to the bathroom to shave his non-existent facial hair. He doesn't seem to notice the leaking water from the back of his toilet, which caught him slipping. Get it? You know what? I'll escort myself out. After this, Alex realizes that Death doesn't like to be cheated and conveys this message to the rest of the survivors. They also find out that everyone is going to die in the order that they would have on the plane, and if anyone intervenes in someone's death, then it skips them. Keep in mind, those rules also apply to everyone else in the rest of the movies. Now with who's next in order, it was Unlucky Terry. That wasn't actually a nickname, but her death was unlucky. While everyone else is figuring out ways to cheat death and stay safe, Terry tells them to chill out. She then goes on to say how she's not gonna let death ruin her life. Well, there's an album called Speeding Bullet to Heaven by Kid Cudi, and in Terry's case, she caught a speeding bus straight to the cemetery. Next up, we've got who I wished I had as my substitute teacher growing up, Miss Luton. Miss Luton's leaking mug short-circuits her computer and explodes, then catching her with a piece of glass in her neck, as if that already isn't bad enough. There's a fire going on in her kitchen. While trying to clean herself off with a cloth, she also brings down a hailstorm of knives, one of which impaling her right in the chest. Tough. Alex ends up coming to Miss Luton's home trying to save her while looking all the more incriminating. Seriously, does this kid not get the hint? Like, bro, you look so much worse than the police. Unfortunately, by the time he got there was another explosion in the kitchen, causing her chair to fall over and shove the knife in her chest even deeper, like one giant domino effect. The final 4 survivors get together to sort things out. While in the car, Carter loses his mind and starts to speed through the street, trying to cheat death. I'm not sure if you've gotten the gist yet this far into the video, but death doesn't like to be played in these movies, and death will let that be known. That even when characters like Carter try to take control of their deaths, it backfires on them. Carter then decides to stop his car on some train tracks. Now while Claire, Billy, and Alex showed the most amount of common sense I've seen in this entire movie and get out the car, Carter decides to be a tough guy and sit in there for a little bit longer. Then when life begins to flash before his eyes, he suddenly decides, I don't want to die anymore. Ain't this about a bit? Like, if you're gonna talk all this trash beforehand, you might as well follow through, my guy. Carter's car won't start up again, his doors weren't open, and his seatbelt weren't unbuckled. Talk about unlucky. Alex then goes in to pull Carter out of his car, just before the train hit them. Billy then goes on to tell Carter that he's dead multiple times and that he's gonna drag him down, as Alex pointed out that Carter was supposed to be next in line to die. Now, if you remember my little point about movie logic earlier, then you would know that Billy is saying something like, you're gonna die multiple times would, surprise, surprise, result in someone dying. Calm down, Billy. We wouldn't want you to lose your head. I spoke too soon. Now let's fast forward to where this movie would have originally taken place in. Paris, the city of love. Here we have our lucky few, Claire, Alex, and Carter. Now, while Alex is still trying to make sense of why he hasn't died yet, Carter says he isn't worried. This is because he's no longer at the top of the list, with Alex intervening on his behalf. Unfortunately, he misspoke as a bunch of eerie signs came up with the creepy breeze, flames, and Alex almost getting hit by a bus. However, the bus does trigger an actual death, causing a huge sign to start swinging and coming down straight for Alex. Luckily, Carter intervenes, saving Alex's life. Count that as a solid for saving his life early in the movie. I think Carter must have forgot that by intervening to save Alex, death just moved on to the next person, which so happened to be him, as the big sign that he just saved Alex from came back for round 2 like it was a damn boxing match. As for the ending, both Claire and Alex survive. It's then revealed going into the second film that Alex was killed by a dislodged brick from a building in between the first 2 films. Talk about one of the saddest ways to go out. Like, at least every other one was memorable or like seemed important. This one was just, oh yeah, dislodged brick from a building. Like, dog. Sad ass way to go out. Main character too. Tough. While they're all enjoyable, I'm trying my hardest not to sound like a serial killer right now. For example, in the second Final Destination movie, it's led by my bae, AJ Cook, playing Kimberly, otherwise known as JJ from Criminal Minds. In the second one, it starts off with Kimberly getting a premonition that her and her friends are going to be involved in a major road collision with a bunch of other vehicles. In the third one, it's led by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, playing Wendy. While watching this one, I had that feeling of her face and voice being so familiar to me. It wasn't until I went on Google after the movie and found out that she's played Ramona Flowers, aka Bae, in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. In the third movie, the premonition Wendy receives is that the roller coaster her boyfriend and her classmates are on will come apart and stop working. This leads to a bunch of splatter all over the place. If you're watching these movies for the plot or anything deeper, then you're wasting your time. But if you want to see goofy deaths like me and have fun, then this is the perfect series for you. Peace out.